What is going on, guys? Joey Franzel here at Flex Training Systems, and today we are going to be talking about why is your squat bigger than your deadlift or vice versa. For some reason, there are a lot of people that are very ashamed of their squat being bigger than their deadlift, or if a lift is not on par with what they believe it needs to be, they're very self-conscious about it. They're sort of embarrassed by it. I don't understand this mentality. Granted, my powerlifting has been. I mean, I've gone through phases. And I'm gonna. I've been in a lighter weight class, and I moved up to a bigger weight class, and I've seen my deadlift be more than my squat, and then my squat be way more than my deadlift. So, I'm gonna share a little bit of that with you guys. I cannot speak. And hopefully, by the end of it, you'll know a little bit more about yourself. And more importantly, you'll accept yourself so you can sort of progress in a way that's going to be conducive to you being the best lifter that you can possibly be. Alrighty, so squatting more than you deadlift. Typically, we see this happen with bigger lifters. They're typically holding a little bit more body fat. And, I can't really think of too many instances of a lifter that just squats astronomically more than they deadlift, and they're very, very, very lean. I'm sure there's going to be some example out there, but if that's the case, they probably have extremely short femurs relative to everything else, and they're just sort of built for squatting. Um, they may be capable of pulling more on a deadlift, but their genetics, their leverages just might not favor that. So that is something that could potentially be there. Um, but yeah, typically with bigger classes, people are going to squat more than they deadlift. And there's always going to be exceptions, but in the lower classes, you're going to see bigger deadlifts. What I think is happening here is with deadlift, you can push against the ground, and you can sort of create a wedge between yourself and the floor, which allows you to sort of leverage up more weight. If you have um, if you think about how a seesaw works, or if you have like a rock and you put a stick on top of it, and at the bottom of the stick there's something that you're trying to lift up, you're going to have an easier time lifting that thing. It's kind of what's happening in the deadlift. On squat, you don't really get that. You're just going down and up. Um, I could be wrong here, but that's it makes sense to me. It's kind of weird that I'm talking about it because I have in my notes here, does it matter? In my opinion, it does not matter that much. Before I expand on that, uh, typically we see the super heavyweights, very, very, very big squats. They usually can't deadlift more than they squat. There's many reasons for this. One, weight moves weight, and in the squat, you kind of have this sort of momentum as you come up and out of the hole. You can force your body to sort of um, create kind of like a slingy or a spring action. You build up a lot of pressure between your belt and your girth or your body fat in quotations, right? So you take all of that down into the hole. You build up a ton of pressure in the bottom of the squat, and then you explode up. The leaner you are, the less of that pressure, the less of that assistance, that sort of artificial power increase you're going to have. Granted, this changes from person to person. I have this theory that bigger lifters, I wonder if a bigger lifter has the exact same, like let's say they have the exact same muscle mass, right? They don't lose any muscle mass. And they go from being, big, and then they lose 30 pounds, and they keep the same muscle mass. That's like almost impossible, but let's just say you had a lifter that at the course of their career had like similar muscle, 30 pounds higher or lower, whatever. I still think the bigger person will be able to squat more simply because the improved leverage. Though you have more control, there's just less, space that needs to be filled. So it's almost to me like it's artificial. It's like artificial strength. Not to say that you're not strong. It's just, I squat 750 pounds, right? At 250 something, right? Um, Freaking Ashton Ruska can do this at 210 pounds. Do I think, you know what I mean? He's obviously way stronger than I am. Even people that are smaller than me that don't like, if you are an 83 and you can squat 680, that's probably stronger than my 750. Granted, not many people are going to squat 750 because they just don't want to gain the weight, in my opinion. That's like truly what I believe. People could be squatting more if they wanted to go up. Um, so it's weird. It's just a side note. It's something in powerlifting we look at strength. We look at strength when is it truly strength or is it just the ability to perform such a lift with some strength? I know that's like some deep thinking, but it's like you see what I'm saying here? Um, you have you may have the same amount of muscle mass as another lifter. Granted, muscle mass is very relative in terms of how much it will allow you to lift. You can have a lot of muscle mass and have absolutely garbage leverages for powerlifting because you're 6'5". You know what I mean? And that's something that people, kind of need to realize. If you can fill out your frame, granted, if your genetics allow you to fill out your frame, then you can overcome any kind of leverage, right? Because strength is seemingly limitless and something we may be able to have control of. Whereas, you can't change the length of your bicep, or sorry, your humerus or your forearm or your femur and shit like that. So, um, yeah, just a side note. It's just like in powerlifting, we refer to strength as like being able to lift a certain amount of weight, assuming all things are equal. When in reality, I promise you, there's people that can't lift that much, but maybe they'll beat somebody up, really, really easy. Um, but yeah. Anyway, does it matter? Does any of this matter? It does not matter. If you squat more than you deadlift, that doesn't matter. If you deadlift more than you squat, that doesn't matter. Come meet day, it might matter if you are looking in a position to try to pull at the end to win. But it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't mean anything whether you can squat a lot more or whatever. What matters at the end of the day is that your lifts are going up over time. And this next part that I'm going to talk about is something that I came to the realization of, and it really helped me just sort of accept myself as a lifter and make progress at a rate that I was happy with. And that is, you have to accept your body, and you have to accept, between your squat, bench, and deadlift, what kind of progress can you expect to make on each one given your characteristics and your body type over time. For example, if let's take me for example. If my squat responds very very well to training and it can maintain my quality of life, and my deadlift, I can't push it too hard or it starts to ruin my other lifts, and my bench is pretty consistent, for me, if I can put 7.5, 10 kilos on every meet, every squat, 5 kilos every meet for bench, and then 5 to 10, for deadlift. Deadlift might be a little bit more because I kind of sandbag on that one, but due to technicalities. But if I just accept that, like big PR on squat, small PR bench, decent PR deadlift, if I can accept that, then I can train in a way that is going to sort of facilitate that. Now, some people, they get really frustrated and they want to force one lift to increase a little bit more than maybe they should accept or maybe they should understand. Some people, yes, as far as boosting their total, one lift should be progressing a lot more than others simply because that's just what they're built to do, and that's what they can train safely. They're very durable in that lift, and they're going to respond well to it. Other lifts, maybe they've been, most people, they've been benching more than they've been squatting and deadlifting, and their bench is going to slow down, and you're not going to see these crazy crazy gains, like you were making. So, going back to my example, you know, 7.5, 10 kg squat PR, 5 pound, 2.5 kg bench PR, and then 5 to 10 kg deadlift PR. I'm perfectly fine with that because my total is going up. I'd be happy with 5 pounds on each one. You know what I mean? For you, you might be completely different. Um, your deadlift might respond really really well, and that might be a lift that you can expect to get a lot of progress out of. Your squat might not. You know what I mean? You might be a super lean guy, and squatting is just not something that feels good for you. You have super long femurs, and it's just like really painful and annoying for you to squat. Um, bench could be the same way. So you have to accept your body. You can try to force one of these lifts to come up, but at what cost, right? At what cost are you going to do this? What are you going to give up simply because you want one lift to progress more than it really needs to? You know what I mean? There has to be a level, of strength that we accept that is practical. From an opportunity cost perspective, it makes sense. Is it worth bringing up my deadlift if I'm going to completely tank the other two and inevitably hurt my total simply because I'm self-conscious about my squat being more than my deadlift? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that is something that I think a lot of lifters need to get their head around. You have to get your head around that, because if you want to force yourself to increase on one lift more than you should probably be reasonably asking and end up hurting the other lifts, it's like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Um, I believe, I'm just going to make this up in my head, right? Like, just to explain. Let's say your recovery should operate, you have 1 through 10 recovery, right? If we can stay between a 7 to an 8 in terms of the amount of stress we're dealing with and the amount of recovery we're putting in, and avoid kind of getting into that 9 and spilling over into that 10, then you should be able to expect consistent progress on all three. The second we try to force one over the other, even if we pull the volume down on the other two, we're probably going to have, it's not like evenly distributed, right? Like one lift might cost, a lot more to bring up than something else. So you got to kind of understand that and accept, reasonable progress given the individual, given what you're capable of doing. I really hope that makes sense, because I think it's a very important concept. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Um, it's not like accepting, oh, okay, my bench is gonna suck, whatever. But it is kind of. It's understanding I cannot expect to make crazy big progress on my bench given my training age, given the injuries I'm dealing with, given my leverages, given the amount of muscle that my body just sort of holds naturally around the muscles associated with that lift. If you want to have a big bench and you have big arms but absolutely no pecs, like you just have the weakest pecs in the world, you know what I mean? I mean that, you're probably gonna have a close grip bench and you're probably gonna have problems. Trying to put on a big bench. If you have a big wide barrel chest, right, and you have if you look at your physique, your pecs are just very, very dominant, and you have short your humerus joint, or so your the bone next to your shoulder that connects into your elbow. If that's very short, kind of like mine, then you can expect a decent bench, right? Just some of those things you could just tell by looking at people. I mean, I look at people all the time, when I'm just talking to someone in person, which doesn't happen often these days. You guys can guess why. And I'll be like, "Damn, dog, you got some long arms. You're gonna have a rough time benching." So again, muscle can overcome everything. Muscle can just, if you can build enough muscle, you can overpower your bad leverage, but that a lot of that is going to be hard work, and you're never really going to find out until you try. You literally have to commit to years of training and absolutely try. Um, so yeah, at the end of the day, you shouldn't force what isn't there. Take what you have. If you have 10 kg, 5 kg, 10 kg on each of your lifts every meet, then go for that and increase the total. Move forward. Keep moving forward. Do it over and over and over and over and over. And if you can keep moving forward without moving back, you're going to end up, in a couple years, you're going to look back and be like, damn, I came a long way. So yeah, it's very important that you do this. Um, you don't want to force what's not there, what is not there. And yeah, that's pretty much that. I hope you guys are able to take something away from this video. Took me a little while to get going, but I got it out. I actually have another video that I've been thinking about. It was going to be a little bit spicy. And, I don't know what's been going on, but you guys have been just asking me constantly, like, yo, how do I get into coaching and things like that. And I'm going to open some eyes. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I'm going to tell you what I believe from my perspective. So if you are new here, please subscribe for that one. And that one's going to be good. I just want to formulate my thoughts before I put it out, because, it might change some people's career path if that's what they're thinking about. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Oh, man, let me get a hashtag pocket gains. Hashtag pocket gains in the comments down below. Appreciate you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.